Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Salih al-Mahdi. Peace and blessings be upon the soul of the first lady to embrace Islam and to sacrifice her wealth and whatever she had in this world to assist the Holy Prophet in propagating the message of truth. Lady Khadija, Salamullah alayha, al-Mu'mineen, the mother of the believers. On this day we remember her and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the sake of Lady Khadija to grant us forgiveness, to grant us guidance through the life of this dunya with her du'as and with her prayers, so that we get included to be amongst those who are forgiven in this month of Ramadan. Continuing on the 44th dua of Sahifah Al-Sajjadiah, we reach to the point that Imam alayhi salam was assigning certain missions to each limbs and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us a chance to employ those limbs on the path of His pleasures. We reach to the point that after mentioning the missions of each in previous sessions, Imam says, purify my stomach from haram, let not my hand stretch towards what is forbidden, and so on and so forth. Let my steps and my feet not take me to what is haram, so on and so forth. Then Imam says, ثم خلص ذلك كله من رئاء المرائين وسمعة المسمعين. Then rid all of that from the false show of the false showers and the fame seeking of the fame seekers. This teaches me one thing. The lesson we should take from this portion is this: that actions have three stages: pre-action, post-action itself, and the post-action. A certain deed or certain amal, before being committed or before being done, we have to make sure the intentions are right. So that is the stage of pre-action. The intention and the motive that I have to perform certain actions, to perform certain worships, to do certain good, I should make sure I have the right intention. That is prior to the action to take place. When I'm taking the action, I have to make sure this is amal salih, the right action on the right time. And the amal salih for each body part, for each limb, on the previous part of the dua that we talked about yesterday, is different, right? And the third stage that Imam talks about is the post-action. Okay, I had the right intention, I made the right action on the right time, now I'm done. There's certain things that can cause habt amal. There's certain things that can cause damage to the reward of an action that we have done. There's certain things that can cause degradation of the actions, or perishment of the actions. So we are talking about riyah. ثم خلص ذلك كله من رئاء المرائين وسمعة المسمعين. Then rid all of that from the false show of the false showers and fame and the fame seeking of the fame seekers. لا نشرك فيها أحدا دونك. That will result in what? If we don't have riyah and we don't have sum'ah, that I will define in a moment, then that will lead to the fact that we won't have shirk in our heart, so that lest we associate therein anything but thee. وَلَا نَبْتَغِي فِيهِمْ مُرَادًا سَوَاكَ. Or seek therein any object of desire but thee, O Allah. بِرَحْمَتِكَ يَا أَرْحَمَ الرَّاحِمِينَ. What is riyah, brothers and sisters? Riyah is being said to be doing anything or performing acts for other than Allah. And when we talk about acts, we are definitely, certainly meaning the acts of worship. Even though doing anything other than acts of worship to impress others is spiritual disease. The fact that I want to be seen itself is one of those problems with the nafs that we have to practice to overcome throughout the month of Ramadan. But when it comes to the acts of worship, Riya is a disease that will make the worship void. It invalidates the fasting, it invalidates the salat, it invalidates any obligatory worship that we have to do if the Riya gets mixed in post-action, right? Doing things to impress others, especially the ibadats, especially the acts of worship, just to be seen by others. Actions become void, and in some cases it's a sin itself. One time, one of the youth asked me, Sheikh, who is better? The person who does not pray, who has abundant daily mandatory prayers, the 5 times salat, is that person better, or the person who prays but he shows off? He prays with having riya. He prays so that others see him while praying and trust him. He prays so that others see him praying, or he fasts so that other people would know he's fasting, so that they will speak good about him. Not because of the actions himself, not because of his akhlaq, not because of his behavior, not because of his personal achievements or whoever he is, what type of personality he has, what khair does he do for others. No, not because of any of that. Just because of the doing the action. Just because of the performing of the action. I told him, they're the same. They're the same, because the person who prays with riya, it's as if he hasn't prayed. He has to make qada of those prayers. He has to repeat all those prayers. None of them are accepted. That makes the prayer to be invalidated. That makes the fasting to be invalidated, because you're committing it with the riya and you know from the depth of your heart. In mustahabbat, so in wajibat, in obligatory deeds and actions, riya makes the action to become voided. While in mustahab, it degrades the reward of the action. It makes it perish. It's as if you haven't done. So I get up in the middle of the night to pray Salatul Layl. But I will go to my parents or to my siblings or to my family, to my wife. I'd be like, praying Salatul Layl makes me really thirsty. Give me a cup of water with ice in it. I'm making riya. I'm making the reward of that action to be perished. So nothing will be left for me from waking up in the middle of the night except sleeplessness and difficulty of getting up early. Once in one of the cities in California, they had a majlis for Muharram of Imam Hussein, and this flyer, the announcement for the majlis, it had the name of the speaker, the name of the reciter, and with a bigger font, highlighted, they had the name of the sponsor. The funds for this majlis donated by certain person. I was like, man, where are we heading to? Riya is the killer of the a'mal, the killer of the actions that we collect for the Day of Judgment. Brothers and sisters, riya is having roots in shirk. Polytheism and shirk is not always or not necessarily confined and bounded within worshipping idols. Sometimes the shirk is more complex. What is sum'ah? Sum'ah is doing a deed for others to hear about it, to be heard. So riya comes from ru'ya, comes from seeing. I do something so that others see it. Sometimes I do something so that others start talking about me. I have this intention that other people start talking good about me. That is sum'ah. So that I can be heard by others. I do this to be heard. I donate this amount of money to that charity or to that Islamic center. I help that single brother so that everybody be like, Sheikh Mahdi is a big donor. He always does khair. Sheikh Mahdi is this, Sheikh Mahdi is that. So We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day, this 10th day of the month of Ramadan, to cleanse our deeds from anything that would degrade them, from anything that might come into action post a'mal, after the a'mal are performed, including riya and sum'ah. What is ikhlas, brothers and sisters? So this is because Imam says, ثُمَّ خَلِّص, purify, khallis, then get rid of the disease that Imam mentions. What is ikhlas? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, or one of the other ma'asumin, I'm not sure at this point, he says, al-amalu al-khalis alladhi la turidu an yahmadaka alayha ahadun illa Allah azza wa jal. If you want to know your amal, your action is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, think of it this way: do you desire others to praise you for it or not? And here says a pure action, a sincere deed is the one that you do not desire anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to praise you and reward you for it. By that we can know. Imagine if I was praying and everybody else were cursing me for that, not only praising with me. Would I still do pray? Imagine I'm paying the what is the tazkiyah of my wealth. I'm paying charity and doing other duties, Islamic duties, and others will be like, why'd you waste your money? And instead of praising me, mashallah, you're not belonging to dunya. You have freed yourself from the chains of this dunya. And instead of them praising me with these titles, imagine if people were cursing me. If closed ones start looking down upon me for doing certain actions, would I still do them or not? Then you can find out what ikhlas is. Shirk and polytheism is a very complex thing. We have to do constant muraqabah, constant monitoring of our intentions and our actions in order to protect and safeguard them from things that would degrade them, that would damage them. The more spiritual we become, the more ma'nawiyat we behold in our lives, the more intentions become pure. The more thorough examination of our a'mal and intentions will take place. The people who get to the level of Ayatollah Bahjat, rahmatullah alayh, or other asatid, other teachers who really preach Islam by their actions, you see nothing but that they have constant muraqabah, constant monitoring, constant examinations, thorough examinations of their intentions. Imam Ali alayhi salam says on another note that tuba liman akhlasa amalahu wa ilmah. We are so grateful to Imam Sajjad for teaching us the dua 44 of Sahifah Al-Sajjadiah, so that we can talk about the concept of ikhlas and so that we can learn the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen when he says, blessed is he whose knowledge and practice, love and hate, acceptance and refusal, speech and silence, and words and actions are solely and sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do speak or I keep silence. I do love or I do hate. Any of these opposite actions, I do only for the sake of Allah. That is the highest level of iman. That is the highest level of ikhlas. That I do not befriend anyone except for the pleasure of Allah, except for the satisfaction of my Creator. I do not hate anyone except for the pleasure and satisfaction of my Lord. I can't hate the believers if I claim to be mu'min. In the Holy Quran we have وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Do not allow our hearts get filled or get touched or contaminated by the hatred of the mu'mineen, of the believers. In many of the ahadith we have The fact that little for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, little for His sake, is counted to be too much by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiplies the little action of the person who does it with ikhlas versus the person who does things with riyah, with wrong intentions to show off, to impress others. Even if they do much, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it little. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will degrade it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, go and grant it to the people who you shared your intentions of doing the certain actions with me. So what brings ikhlas? That's the question. What do we do? What should we do in this month of Ramadan to increase ikhlas or to bring about ikhlas? Number one, ثمرة العلم إخلاص الأمل. The more I know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more I know about myself, the more I know about where I am destined, where is my destination, where is it that this journey of life taking me towards. The more I fill myself and my existence with that knowledge, the more ikhlas it'll yield. Ikhlas is the fruit of ilm. Number two, certainty and conviction. Yaqeen. Imam Ali alayhi salam in another note says, Sababul ikhlasi yaqeen. The root of ikhlas, the root of purity and sincerity is nothing but conviction. Yaqeen. If I know that these actions will be with me, will be carried out with me to the day that there is no one to govern but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no one over there to judge me but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no one there to reward me but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then I won't share the thawab or share intentions with anyone else. I won't commit shirk. Practicing ikhlas. Three things that comes to mind. Investigate motives. Continuously monitor your intentions. And continuously examine it with the way I said. 4. Never wish to impress others. Never ever wish to do anything to impress others. And last one, do not fear from doing anything tough from the actions. Imagine if the fasting is difficult, or if the certain thing is difficult, speaking against oppression is difficult, right? Your life might get endangered. I see a certain oppression in my community, in my society, and I keep silence. That means I have shirk inside me. If I'm mukhlis, if I have pure intentions, if I've purified my hearts throughout the months of Ramadan with fasting, then I speak up and then I stand up and speak against oppression. Taking in oppression, accepting oppression itself is a sin. The Holy Prophet says, أَفْضَلُ الْأَعْمَالِ أَحْمَزُهَا. The best of the deeds is the most difficult of them. Yet, many of us living in the West, living in the United States, living in Europe, elsewhere, we are constantly looking and searching for our comfort zone. What is more convenient for us? Show us a way that is more convenient for us. This way we can't help our Imam of time. Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha says, Man as'ada ila Allah khalisa ibadadeh, who ascends towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the best of his deeds, أحبت الله عز وجل له أفضل مصلحته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to him the best of his expediencies, the best of his benefits, the best of his maslaha to him. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day, for the sake of Lady Khadija salamullah alayha, to grant us the chance to purify our a'mal and to be able to safeguard them after we inshallah perform them. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.